Hey everyone, and welcome. So, we've all been there, right? You've had a long day of travel, you finally get to your hotel, and the last thing you want is a complicated check in. Well, today we're going to break down that whole process. We're going to turn what feels like a chore into the absolute perfect start to your trip. So, here's what we've got lined up. We'll kick things off with a pretty surprising story about what can happen at the front desk. Then, we'll get into the key phrases you need to know, build a simple playbook for a smooth check in, and even talk about the art of asking for an upgrade. We'll also cover what to do when things don't go perfectly, and then we'll wrap it all up with a handy checklist. All right, let's dive right in with a story that kind of shows just how amazing a check-in can be when you least expect it. It's all about a traveler named Anthony Roberts and what seemed like a pretty lucky mistake. Can you just imagine saying that? You've just walked up to the desk, you give them your name, and the receptionist gives you a key to a room that is way, way better than what you booked? That is exactly what happened to Anthony. You can just feel that moment of confusion mixed with a little bit of, wait, is this really happening? Well, as it turned out, the hotel was dealing with a really common situation. It was overbooked. Yep, they'd sold more standard rooms than they actually had. Now, for Anthony, this wasn't a problem at all. In fact, it was the hotel's chance to make things right in a big way. So what was the result? Instead of telling him they had no room, Anthony got a complimentary upgrade. That means he got a much better, much more expensive room for absolutely free. He literally went from a standard room all the way to the presidential suite. I mean, that's not a bad way to start a vacation, is it? Okay, so that whole story really came down to a few specific terms. So let's take a minute and just decode the language of check-in so you always know what's going on. First, we have the word mix-up. It just means a simple confusion or a misunderstanding. In Anthony's story, the mix-up was that the room he booked wasn't actually free. But, as we just saw, sometimes a mix-up can end up being a very, very good thing for you. And the reason for that mix-up? The hotel was overbooked. This happens all the time, not just with hotels, but with airlines too. They basically sell more rooms than they have, kind of betting that a few people won't show up. But when everybody does, well, then they've got a problem they need to solve. Now, the hotel's best solution for being overbooked is often a complimentary upgrade. This is the magic phrase, right? It keeps the guest happy because they get a better room than they paid for at no extra cost. And that's the real insight here. An overbooking problem for the hotel can sometimes turn into a fantastic opportunity for you. Of course, none of this happens until you actually start the check-in. And the perfect way to begin is with a simple, clear phrase like, "Hi, I have a reservation under the name." It's polite, it's direct, and it gives the receptionist exactly the information they need to get started. All right, now that we know the lingo, let's put it all together. Let's build a simple, straightforward strategy. Think of this as your personal playbook for a smooth, totally stress-free check-in. Honestly, it all boils down to 3 super simple steps. Step 1, prepare. Before you even get to the desk, have your confirmation, your ID, and your payment card ready to go. It just shows you're organized and makes their job easier. Step 2, arrive with a friendly hello. That little bit of politeness right at the start really sets a positive tone. And third, communicate. Listen to what they're telling you, and don't be shy about asking questions about Wi-Fi, breakfast, anything. It's your stay, so make sure you have all the info you need. Okay, so we saw how an upgrade can just fall into your lap, but can you actually ask for one? The answer is a definite yes. So let's talk about how to do it in a way that's both polite and effective. It's really all about your approach. A simple, low-pressure question like, "I was just wondering if there happened to be any room upgrades available today," is a great way to start. It's not demanding at all. If you're celebrating something like an anniversary or a birthday, it never hurts to mention it. And hey, if a free upgrade isn't possible, you can always ask what a paid upgrade might cost. And here are a few little insider tips to boost your chances. First, timing. You're going to have better luck when the hotel isn't packed, like midweek or during the off-season. Second, loyalty programs. If you're a member, you're already on their good side. And probably the most important thing, always be gracious. If they say no, a simple, "No problem, thank you for checking," goes a really long way. But let's be realistic. Check-ins aren't always about getting the suite. Sometimes things go wrong. Maybe your room isn't ready or there's an issue with your booking. So let's talk about how to handle those moments without losing your cool. The absolute key here is a calm, practical response. If your room isn't ready, getting angry isn't going to magically make it clean faster. Instead, ask a helpful question like, is there somewhere I could store my luggage for a bit? It shows you're working with them. If you get to your room and there's a problem, go back to the desk and frame it as a team effort. I noticed an issue with the room. Could you help me figure it out? It's always about the solution, not the problem. And really, the biggest takeaway here is that your attitude is your number one tool. Think about it. The front desk staff deals with problems all day long. A guest who stays calm and polite really stands out, and they are way more likely to go the extra mile for someone who treats them with respect. Staying calm will almost always get you a better result, faster. Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot, from those surprise upgrades to gracefully handling problems. So now let's pull it all together into one final, easy-to-remember checklist for your next trip. So here it is, your final checklist. First, have your documents ready to make everything quick and easy. Greet the staff with a smile to get things started on the right foot. Communicate clearly so you have all the info you need. Use those polite phrases for any special requests. Handle any hiccups with that calm, solution-focused attitude we talked about. And finally, always say thank you. You follow these steps, and you're setting yourself up for a great stay, every single time. So as we wrap up, just remember this. Checking into a hotel isn't just a boring task. It's the very first moment of your trip, and now you've got all the tools to make sure it's a great one. So the only question left is, how are you going to make your next arrival the perfect start? Thanks so much for joining me.